everybody. I'm Jenny Gable, and I'm going to be sharing with you my unit that I created about Lewis and Clark and their expedition. So this is a unit that I actually use with my students. I teach fourth graders, and I do a variety of different things with this in that I tie in several social studies standards and about explorers, and I also tie in several fiction and nonfiction standards that we have. So I want to show you a little bit about my unit that I have created. So I used the TES Teach website, which was brand new to me. I had never used it before. And so I created my unit on Lewis and Clark. And like I said, this is a unit that I will teach to my fourth graders. I teach it not right away at the beginning of the school year, but as in fourth grade, we are learning about the United States and what the United States is. We learn a lot about the development of the United States. And so I stick in this about explorers because before we learn about what the United States is currently, we want to learn about what it was before. So I'm going to begin showing my students, and I just ask a broad question. Who are these guys? Do you know who these people are? And most of the time they're going to obviously not know who they are, but I will talk with them and I will discuss with them that these were two men that were really important to identifying and to making the United States what it is today, okay? And so we'll talk about what explorers are. We'll talk about their importance to lots of places around the world, and I'll introduce them that these two men are Lewis and Clark. Since usually my students don't have a very big background of information, I found this video, which is a YouTube video about Lewis and Clark and their expedition. And so before we ever start really reading anything, I'm going to give them some background information. It'll talk about a little bit about who Thomas Jefferson is, who Lewis and Clark were, what they were there for, but it just gives them a broad overview of Lewis and Clark. Important to the students because right now they are just starting to learn about what the United States is. I can't remember who it was, but somebody did theirs on communities in third grade. And so as fourth graders, you know, they're just kind of starting to figure out a little bit more about what the United States is. So I always show them this map, and I talk about how the Louisiana Purchase was important, and they're always in awe because obviously we live in Kansas, and they're like, Kansas wasn't there before. And so I show them a map like this, and I talk to them about where Lewis and Clark went and the significance of this. As they learned on the video, they'll learn that the reason that Lewis and Clark wanted to travel was because they were trying to go to the Pacific Ocean and find one waterway there, which they never found. So they find that very interesting. So we'll talk and we'll use some different things with maps. I like to include a lot of text for my students. And so this was a book, a nonfiction story called The Lewis and Clark Expedition that I actually have for my library. I join with my librarian and I do a lot of, find a lot of other texts just so that we might not actually sit down and read word for word out of every single book, but it just gives them some more information, more things to look at. Now, you're probably wondering why I have a dog in my story. Well, the fiction story that we actually read is called Lewis and Clark and Me, and it is actually told by a dog that Lewis bought and that joined them on their expedition, which was a Newfoundland. So I'm going to show them this picture. I'm going to introduce the fiction story that we're going to read, Lewis and Clark and Me, A Dog's Tale, and then they'll kind of understand. We're going to read this story, and I'm going to also show them this video that I found about Newfoundland dogs, which kind of talks to them about the different qualities that a Newfoundland dog would have. And in the story, it talks about why Lewis chose him, but this also gives a few more pieces of information. Now from here, I'm going to add in something new that I haven't done. And from taking this class, I have decided that I want to include a lot more inquiry in my research. So I thought that as kind of a springboard for starting my kids doing a little bit more inquiry in class, I thought that I could have them do a little research and ask some questions about what other types of dogs might be good breeds that Lewis and Clark could have maybe used. And so I'm going to have them do some research as partners. I'm going to have them create a project, whether that's a poster, whether it's a PowerPoint. I'm going to give them a little bit of creativity to decide what they want to do. So that would be what I would do after we got done reading Lewis and Clark to me. And so this was just another fiction story that I found, cross country with Lewis and Clark, something else to add into that library for the kids to use. And also, I thought that it would be kind of fun. I always do like a web quest, but this was a good website that I found, National Geographic Kids, that talked about Lewis and Clark's expedition. I included my web quest, and then I also included a interactive notebook, like a timeline that would kind of highlight the very important things about Lewis and Clark and their expedition. So I hope that you guys have enjoyed watching my presentation. I hope that